Hey guys, Drew here with Nine Leadership. Welcome to another video. I'm here today with Maxi Smith, who is a director with Shackley, and she'll tell you more about what that is. But we're going to talk today about wellness and taking care of yourself during the coronavirus epidemic, pandemic, whatever you want to call it, and in general in life. So Maxi, welcome. Thanks for joining me today. Want to tell us more about you and Shackley and what you do?
Thanks for having me. So I'm with Shackley, which is a natural nutrition company. We're turning into a wellness company focusing on all sorts of different aspects of health and wellness. And so basically what I do is I help people with their health challenges and their goals and help achieve them or, really work on those challenges that they're facing on a daily basis so that they can enjoy optimal health and really live life to the fullest and not have their health hinder them from doing that.
Nice. That's awesome. That sounds like a pretty noble endeavor.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah. So what are some things you've seen, maybe your top 3 challenges you've seen clients deal with over the last few months as we dealt with this pandemic and everything happening?
I think a huge one is because we're all facing something that we haven't experienced before, at least that's what I'm assuming, is that, people are super stressed and that can be very, very taxing on the body and your health, and that they just don't know how to work with that stress, how to reduce that stress, and how to make sure that the body isn't affected as much by that mental health component. And there's a lot nutritionally that one can do in order to minimize the negative effects of stress. But people just generally don't know what to do with that. I think also one big one is the quarantine, 15. I think that's what the name is right now.
Yeah.
So gaining weight during this time and just generally eating unhealthy or eating unhealthy snacks and getting takeout is a very, very common thing because we want to reward ourselves. We want to feel good, especially during this time where we don't really have any other rewards that are immediately available to us. Then that's something that I've been working on with a lot of people just because they've gotten off the wagon with all of their healthy eating habits and they want to get back on because it is summer and some pools have reopened. So that is apparently a big concern. And then just your immune system and the different aspects of that. So that can look like, the foods you eat, what you're going to consume on a daily basis. So sugars is a big no-no if you want your immune system to be optimal. Or it could also mean taking out the chemicals in your home, which sounds kind of bizarre. What do chemicals have to do with my immune system? But if your immune system is low and you're having chemicals in your home, that's just not going to support your immunity and your body in general. So there's some different aspects that you can look at that from and go at it from. So I just help try to simplify it as much as possible for people because health can be so confusing.
Yeah, especially nowadays. I mean, when there's so much conflicting information out there and conflicting and also wrong information out there.
Yes. And I feel like every opinion that you have towards a certain health belief or challenge, you can find support on it for regardless what your belief is, whether it is you believe in this or you're against it, or you're subscribed to the keto diet, or you believe in fasting, or whatever it is. You can find support for it pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So for you and your clients, how have you helped them to deal with, for example, we can talk about immune system afterwards, but for stress, how do you help what do you suggest they do for themselves for stress?
So with stress, it can be multifaceted, right? So stress can come from different things. It can come from lack of sleep. That definitely doesn't help. Or the stress can also impact your sleep. And so working on the sleep aspect is super important. And there are different things that one can do and different tools and resources that I share with my clients to work on that. But also just making sure that those healthy eating habits are not also contributing to your stress. So if you're eating really unhealthfully, then you may experience more stress because you're not feeling as good, you're not able to perform as well. So then breaking down things that they can do in order to improve their health in that aspect can also be very valuable. And generally some basic vitamins that I recommend during really stressful times are B vitamins, because when we get stressed, our body naturally depletes itself from vitamin B, and that's when we get those carb cravings. And so it's a vicious cycle of you get cravings, you're stressed, you get cravings. So then you eat something and then you may feel stressed about eating it. And then it's a vicious cycle and it's not good. And people don't want to be a part of that cycle. So that's something that I can also do. And then Shaklee specifically has a product called Stress Relief Complex that can be super helpful. I know I depend on it on a daily basis. Otherwise, I will feel a little bit more on edge than usual. And that is a compilation of different kinds of herbs that can be super helpful for people as well.
Cool. Awesome. So then in terms of the immune system side of things.
Oh, wait, sorry. And self-care. Self-care is super important. So I always ask that they do something for themselves, whether that is looking at gratitude, things that they're grateful for during this stressful time, because even though this pandemic is hitting everybody hard, we still have so much to be grateful for, right? Most of us are still able to have a roof over our head. We're not homeless. We are able to get food and things like that. A lot of us are quarantining with other people, so we're not solo. I can't even imagine having to do this solo. I'd be crying every day or just completely bored and always on the phone. So I think many people are very, very fortunate. And even if you're quarantining alone, you may have a pet or something like that. That may be, good things to keep in mind when you're super stressed. Sorry, now immunity.
No, that's great. Self-care is a huge one, honestly. And so, I mean, I'm glad you touched on that, because that's something everyone can engage in, right? It doesn't necessarily cost anything to take care of yourself, but just be grateful for things, or recognize, hey, things could be worse. And I'm happy with what I have right now, with the situation that I have, the benefits that I have that other people might not have, right? Like, if it wasn't for Hachi, I would probably be going crazy right now. So it's cool.
Absolutely. And there's so many different aspects to self-care. They can be small, or it can be a big thing. It can be as simple as putting on a face mask. Though I know that's not always for the men. I do have a few men who love face masks, but it's not necessarily the norm. But
well, I mean, for us, it's more the Batman mask than anything else. And masks like that are kind of the things that I'm excited about. Yeah.
But, it could be something as simple as maybe taking some time and enjoying your cup of coffee on your balcony if you have something like that, or jamming out, or doing like a little in-home dance party, like for a few minutes, and just enjoying life.
Just TikTok it out.
Yeah. Or just call a friend for like 5 minutes and just check in on them and have that catch up, or whatever it is, whatever brings you joy and gives you some peace of mind and it makes you feel good.
Nice. No, that's great. Those are great suggestions, actually. So in terms of the immune system side of things, what are some things you've seen with your clients that you've helped them with in terms of boosting immunity, so to speak, or trying to, make sure that they're not compromising their immunity with chemicals or whatever else is going on in their lives?
Absolutely. So like sugar is a huge one, like I mentioned. Every time we consume sugar, we're actually, bringing down our immune system defenses for a few hours after consumption. So I know, right, especially during quarantine when everybody's stressed, we're more likely and prone to grabbing sugary things, whether that's soda or it's cake or cookies or whatever it is. It can be very, very tempting. And that's why the B vitamins can be so helpful. But so I really try to help educate people on the impact that sugar can have on our immune system so that they're aware of that. And so, for example, one client, I would text him several times, stay away from that sugar today. And so those things, some people need that, and that's totally okay. Other people, they may want to put themselves reminders on their phone to remind themselves to not consume sugar. Or, it also depends on why you want that sugar. Is it that you're really just craving that sweetness? Is it that you're craving something soft, like a cake kind of feel and texture? Or what is it exactly that you're craving? And then finding a healthy, not as sweet substitute, or maybe even something that's not sweetened at all, that could be sweetened with the natural, low glycemic alternative like stevia or something like that. That won't raise your blood sugar and then once again decrease the immunity defenses. So that's a huge one. Stress also can impact your immune system. So that's one, because if your body is stressed and fighting off the stress response, then it can't be focused on a different kind of stressor, which is the immune system being attacked. So being able to kind of also take that self-care and taking those 5 to 10 minutes or however long it is throughout the day, several times a day, to really focus and kind of give yourself some peace of mind and make sure that you are having fun, or you're coming from a place of gratitude and abundance and love and what all the positive things, that can make a huge difference in terms of your immune system. And of course, sleep is really crucial. So it's not something that everybody's great at all the time. I have my moments. But sleep can make such a big difference in terms of your body functioning optimally. So if you're giving it the fuel it needs, so if you're giving it the food that it needs and you're not depriving it of nutrients, of crucial nutrients, and you're giving it the fuel it needs in terms of sleep and giving it the recovery time that it needs, then you're doing your body a big service, and you're allowing your immune system to stay at an optimum level for to prepare for this kind of stuff, and to make sure that you're in a very good spot in comparison to other people who may not be in such a fortunate place, who may have a chronic illness or disease that they're dealing with. And then of course the chemical cleaners also help, because they don't attack your immune system by giving your immune system another thing to work against, and because it's foreign. And I don't know if I had told you this before, but a recent study in Newsweek showed that if you are women are often the ones who are cleaning their homes, and that they looked at a survey of like 6,000 people, 6,000 women, and that cleaning with chemical cleaners over a span of 20 years was as bad as a 20 cigarette a day smoking habit. So,
wow.
Of course, and especially because this virus is something that attacks the lungs,
Mm-hmm.
it's especially important that we don't do anything that damages our lungs in the process. And chemicals, like in that survey and that study showed, can affect our respiratory health and all sorts of things. There are some studies that have also shown that if you start cleaning with chemical cleaners around infants, that they're also having a slightly increased chance of getting asthma or having respiratory issues. So all these things, these small things, can really lead up to a big, detriment in your health. And it's very easy to let one thing slide and then another thing slide, and then suddenly, your health is really bad. But it's equally as simple to implement one healthy habit at a time in order to build a good, solid foundation for your health and for your body.
That's great, especially the last thing you said about starting small and kind of implementing habits over time instead of trying to do an entire change of everything all at once, right? Because how many times do people try to change their entire lives all at once and then it doesn't stick because they're trying to do too much, right? I mean, if you incrementally change things and introduce new, more healthy lifestyle habits into your life over time, there's a higher chance of you sticking with it, right?
Right. Well, I find there are two different types of people. There are those people who need that drastic all or nothing kind of change. And for those people, a complete overhaul of your lifestyle may be exactly what they need. And they don't mind tackling 5 or 6 different healthy habits at the same time and making it a routine or whatnot. But then the majority of people, I think, they really need step-by-step kind of guidance, because it just gets overwhelming and it can seem so complicated. And I think that's why it can be so helpful to have health coaches or health consultants of some sort, that they can guide you through that step-by-step process, and to make health something so complex and something so big, and simplify that so that it's bite-sized, and so that you don't look at it and you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do that?
Right. No, that's great. And then that's absolutely true. Because you having that person-to-person connection where you can talk to someone and bounce ideas off and say, hey, I'm doing this, it's not really working, or it's working not as well as I thought it was going to work. What can I do differently, or whatever? And there's a lot of value in that, right? I mean, that's huge, because otherwise you're just relying on instructions, which are not, written instructions are only so good, which is why some people deviate from instructions.
Right. Right. And especially, some people need that accountability person, right? They may think, oh, I've done this, it doesn't work for me, or, I've done this on my own and it only helped me so much. But if you have somebody else that, is holding your hand throughout the entire process, and some people don't want hand holding, and that's totally fine. But if you have somebody who holds your hand and you're the type of person who needs that kind of support, they can also come from an outsider's perspective. And I'm sure that you see this all the time. It's easier for somebody on the outside to recognize where you may be self-sabotaging yourself, or where you may not be taking in consideration the full picture. So yes, you may be doing it, but you may be only doing 50% of it versus 100%.
Yeah.
So, but then you're surprised that you're not getting the results that you want. And so those kinds of things, I think it's just really helpful to have somebody kind of, cheering you on, because health can be a bit of a struggle because there are slumps. And, especially I know a lot of people who look at weight loss, there's sometimes a plateau that you have to get through in order to get to that next level. And it's often not even a matter of having to change something drastically. Sometimes it's just a matter of time and investing still the same kind of habits, but just giving it a little bit more time for your body to catch up and change some things.
Yeah, and plus, what I think people don't realize is that, it's, when you think about it, if you're 300 pounds and you're trying to lose, 50 pounds, it's going to be a lot easier to lose 350 pounds at that point than if you're 150 pounds and trying to lose 50 pounds. Obviously, it's not the same thing, but you know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
you have a lot more to lose at that higher level, and it's going to be harder to lose that one extra pound when the lower you get to your, normal body mass index, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah. And weight loss is such a personal thing and
Yeah.
journey. And I feel like it's probably one of the most complicated parts of health, right? There's so many different components. There's the psychological component, and that's a big one. And so, and I think that it makes me sad a little bit when I see people who want to lose weight, a significant chunk of weight in a very small amount of time, because it's not healthy, it's not sustainable. You're not really working on health, you're really more focusing on appearance. And while I understand that that's important to a lot of people, especially in this time and age, it shouldn't be purely about the looks. What we're really looking at when we're losing weight is that we feel better, right? And yes, looks plays a part of it, but I'm sure there's also things like, the weight on your joints, and making sure that you just also fit into those clothes that you want to wear that you don't feel comfortable wearing. It's the confidence portion. It's maybe not feeling like you're out of breath when you're walking up the stairs. Being able to play with your kids and being able to really keep up with them instead of huffing and puffing and not being able to spend all of that time. I mean, those are big things,
Yeah.
and I feel like those often get pushed aside in order to just look at the more, I don't want to say superficial level things, but not the really deeper level reasons why people want to lose weight and how losing weight could help them in so many different areas besides just I want to fit into my bikini or look good in my bikini, which I get, don't get me wrong. But I think there's a lot more, and people are a lot more likely to stick with weight loss goals and stick with a weight loss regimen if they look at all the other components instead of just looking at the looks. Because like I said, the looks can take some time to catch up to the healthy eating habits that you're incorporating and whatever you're incorporating to lose the weight. But things like being out of breath by the time that you go up the stairs, that can actually change really quickly just by building up your muscle mass. And that doesn't necessarily show immediately on the outside.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it comes down to a conversation I had with someone the other day. We're talking about how society right now is focused on the quick fixes, right? They're looking at
Mhm.
the instant gratification. I mean, you look at social media, for example, is a great example of that, where, our attention spans have dropped over the course of the last 20, 30 years to, like, I think that now it's like 7 seconds or less to get someone's attention on
Mhm.
with whatnot. But, like, you know, that trickles down into lifestyle changes, right? I mean, you want people are looking for the quick fix, like the magic bullet pill is going to give them the weight loss in 24 hours versus,
Which I'm sure a lot of people would love to have.
oh yeah. I mean, if they invent that, they're probably going to corner the market and make trillions of dollars in, like, the first 3 days. But
Right.
the problem is that that's not sustainable, right? It's not
No.
healthy. It's not sustainable. And, like you said, it's got to be a lifestyle change where you're looking at it holistically, the psychological, the social, the everything that comes along with it. Otherwise,
Mhm.
you're not going to create lasting change. It's going to be a short-term thing, and you're going to have that, the ballooning situation where you're up and down,
And
constantly.
that affects the confidence so much if you have that up and down, ballooning of the weight, which is why I'd much rather have somebody work on this for a longer period of time and maybe experience a few plateaus on the way but just stick through it than have somebody who goes down really fast, then goes back up, and then back down, and so on. Because you're much more likely to if you establish those healthy eating habits and those healthy habits in general, whether that's fitness, eating, just general lifestyle that leads to that weight loss, you're building not only for your self-confidence, but for everybody else around you. You're also being an exceptional role model, which will then also lead to more confidence. But I'm assuming that if you are going to lose a ton of weight very quickly, you're not actually building a ton of healthy habits, because in order to lose that amount of weight really quickly, you have to be drastic and dramatic. And that's not sustainable for most people. Like if somebody is used to eating fast food 7 times a week, to go from that to 0, it's not going to stick most likely, unless they're an all or nothing person.
Right.
And I mean, I think health is a long-term game. It's a long-term journey. So it's really not about what do I look like in 1 month or what do I feel like in 1 month, but really how do I want to feel long-term? How do I want to feel overall for the next few years? So, and I think a lot of people forget about that because we're this instant gratification society.
Yeah. Yep.
And speaking of Instagram, think about how many people just like you grab their attention with the picture and they never ever read the caption.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, and then next.
Yeah. You can pretty much put anything you want in a caption, and you'll probably get like, you get like 100 likes and maybe one person will be like, wait, what does that caption say? Like it's like, oh, you actually read the caption, you win a prize. Yeah. So, well, that's awesome. Great information. Was there, as we close on time, is there anything last minute that you want to, last thoughts you want to close with?
I think one last thing that I'd like to mention is, and I know I've told you this, is that when somebody is looking at improving their health, that one thing I like to talk about a lot is to incorporate one new thing at a time. And we sort of went over this until there's no room for unhealthy habits to exist or unhealthy foods to eat. If you keep incorporating, you don't feel like you're necessarily giving things up. You're not feeling like you're sacrificing things. And that works really well for a lot of people, because a lot of people associate getting healthier with lots of sacrifices, which doesn't make it sound very fun, very appealing, very sexy. So very few people actually want to go onto that journey. But if you look at it from a perspective of let's just crowd out the bad stuff by adding one good thing at a time, it's a lot more doable for a lot of people.
Good approach. I like that. Cool. So how do people get in touch with you? I mean, I'll put your contact information in the description below, but would you want to tell folks how to reach out to you? How you prefer?
Absolutely. So I'm available via my phone number, which is 240-688-5141, or they can just go to my website, which is www.maximilianasmith.com, which is MAXIMILIANE Smith, which most people can spell, .com, and just check me out there.
Well, thanks a lot, Maxi. I appreciate you taking time to come on the show and talk to us. It's a show apparently now, which I just dubbed it a show. Right. Cool. Awesome. So thanks again. And anyone who wants to reach out to Max, I'll put her information in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, please hit the like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell if you want to get notified of future videos. And leave a comment, question, or suggestion below, and we'll be happy to talk to you about it then. Thank you guys. Take care.